We all have questions.
What is it that hinders me, stopping me from getting to where I want to go?
Find the answers on the Dani Johnson Show.
You can't reach for anything if your hands are still full of yesterday's junk.
Keep moving forward with Dani Johnson.
So that you can get to the destiny that you're after. There is another way to live, my friend. There is.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're so blessed that you chose to work with us today to improving, well, your life, my life, all of our lives, because I don't know about you, but sometimes our lives can be really messy and sometimes it can be going really, really good. So whichever way your life is happening today, messy or good or, well, no disaster yet this morning, or whatever it is, we hope that we can help you have a better day by bringing you really important content that maybe you weren't thinking about today, but I promise you're going to think about it now. Hey, do you realize that you had 14,000 hours of schooling from the time you were in kindergarten all the way to the 12th grade? Actually, it might even be more now. I don't even know if that statistic counts all the hours of homework that we had. They're sending kids in kindergarten home with homework now. Really? Hello? But out of all of these hours of schooling, how much time did you learn? How much time was spent on teaching you about finances, about business, about relationships? How many hours that you and I spent in the classroom did we get really the important things that we needed to learn? My friend found this statistic from Albert Einstein I thought was interesting. He says, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. I guess that's how he felt about his years in school. It's what you got left over after you've forgotten everything you learned in school. Wow. So education, I don't know. You might be one that is 100% for how education is delivered today, or you might be one that has a piece of your own opinion about how you think it should be done, especially with homeschool on the rise. Man, homeschooling has become such a common thing. And more families are turning to schooling their children at home versus putting them through the public or even private school system. We've done both throughout my kids' entire school lives. This is now my second year where I haven't had somebody at home. Throughout all of our kids' lives, there's always been somebody homeschooled at one point or another, and oftentimes two and sometimes three of the kids at the same time being homeschooled. But we chose either a private school or homeschooling situation, of course, with tutors, because there are many subjects that mom could not teach, like Algebra 2. Forget it. In fact, I think it was somewhere around the 5th grade that it started going right over my head, especially science, especially some of the math. Even though I was good in math when I was at school, but I haven't used it since I left school. I use a calculator, just like you do. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that today, right? What in the current school setup, whether you're homeschooling or private schooling or public schooling, do you feel is important to train up our children with? What do you think is important lessons? Important education for them to understand so that they can become great citizens someday, wonderful parents, wonderful business people, or people in the marketplace that are bringing awesome value out there, as well as how to understand finances. So let's talk about that today. 844-200-3264 is my number. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We've posted some questions on Facebook. We have had quite a number of people that have a lot to say about education. And by the way, if you haven't come on over and visited us on Facebook or Twitter, we'd love to say hi. We'd love to see your beautiful face, or is it your dog's face that you post on your profile picture? Whatever it is, come and say hi. The Facebook page is Dani Johnson Live. That's D-A-N-I Johnson Live. We also have a free book over there. If you haven't yet come over to the page, we'd love to give you a free copy of the book, First Steps to Wealth. It's a free ebook. It's a 290-page book on how I went from homeless to millions, now multimillionaire. in business, and some things I had to learn along the way, including paying off debt. And so there's 2 chapters on there about paying off your debt, but you can download that free ebook right now. If you run on over to Facebook and hit like, you'll go ahead and get our free book delivered straight to your email immediately. But yeah, we're talking about that. And if you're not comfortable calling in on the show, then come on over to Facebook and tell us how you feel about the current educational system. Government ran, government standards, or have you just said, forget it all, man, I'm going to homeschool my kids? Either way, we want to hear from you. Your opinion matters here on the Dani Johnson Show. In fact, the Dani Johnson Show is about your opinion. We want to know what we can do to help serve you more, and your thoughts concerning, man, my kids, do I really feel like they're being set up to succeed in the future, or do I feel like they're really being set up to fail? Again, the number is 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. I know this. I certainly didn't learn anything entrepreneurial in school. Nope, not at all. In fact, when I look back on my education, I dropped out of high school. I got pregnant. I was one of those girls, one of those statistics. In fact, we were the statistics all the way around the block, right? Welfare recipients until I was about 12, 13, and 14. And then from there, my parents had money due to a horrible traumatic accident that happened with my mom. She broke her neck. And I moved out of the house when I was 16. And so my parents weren't the churchgoers. The name of Jesus was only a cuss word. And of course, the GD it. Yeah, so my parents were the partiers. They had great music playing in the house, at least the great music that they thought was great from the 80s. I certainly wish there was some great Christian music from the 80s, but it just really didn't exist. There was music. I wouldn't have called it great. Not when you're competing against Rush and Boston, Def Leppard, and I know you've got your stone in your hand already ready to stone me. Why don't you just throw it in the mirror? That was funny. I don't care who you are. You know it was funny. Throw it in the mirror. Throw it at yourself. He without sin, pick up the first stone. I think that's in the same Bible that you were trying to stone me with. But anyway, the truth is that our current educational system, I think, has a few holes. And it just seems like teachers are working harder than ever. And you know what upsets me about the whole teaching thing? These poor people go to school for 5 years. They spend a lot of money on their education, and their starting salary is $30,000 a year. And their job is to love our children and educate our children and do their very best to prepare the next generation for success. Yet, they've got handcuffs on their hands. These people, yes, they have a great schedule as far as, man, they get the summers off and Christmas off and, winter break in some places. And of course, not winter break, but fall break. And then, of course, spring break, and all the other holidays. Yeah, but the reality is that they're putting in 10, 12 hours a lot of time. A lot of times, 10 to 12-hour days to help educate our children. And many of them start in that field because they love kids. They had maybe a teacher along the way that really did a good job for them, and they wanted to be that inspiring mentor to the next generation. Yet I really feel that they've been crippled. They've been inundated with paperwork. They've been told what they have to teach, which I think is somewhat important. However, there's so much that's being taught to our kids that it just makes me scratch my head and go, why are we learning this? And what are we doing to prepare them for this new digital world? And how are they going to compete in a global economy? Jobs aren't just right down the street anymore. We literally are competing with people in India or in other places, and down in Nicaragua, actually in Central America. It's odd when you really look at it. Or China, of course. There's a huge global land to compete with. Not just our little town, not just our state, not just our nation, but now we're competing against other nations. How are we preparing the kids for that? And how are we preparing them for this digital world we're living in? You know what I mean? Kids with cell phones in their hands at the dinner table. Everybody's spending way too much time in social media, video games. There's so many factors that are infiltrating the minds of the next generation. And do we feel like this is all good? Is this wise? Is this formidable? Is this what it should be? Because here's the facts. We have 5. 3 are adults and married. 2 left. Teenagers who look like they're 25. Every time we're in a restaurant, The servers try to offer them wine or beer. Really? So they're huge. Sometimes they got some huge attitudes to go along with their hairy armpits and their hairy chest. But it went by fast. It really has. And yes, we have supplemented our kids' education the best that we can, but when I look back, I still even go, gosh, I probably should have done this better, I should have done that right. So I think today's show would be really, really helpful if some of us who are on the other side of the educational side, meaning that most of our kids are already gone and there's some things that we wish we would have done differently, what would those things be? And or if you really believe in our educational system, tell me what it is that you feel is really positive and really good and formidable that you've seen in your kids that you think, man, that was the way to go. I'm glad we did it that way. 844-200-3264. If you think the whole school system is a giant scam and that somehow people in high places are doing everything they can to keep the little people, that is us, keep the little people dumb and numb and distracted with entertainment so that bigger things can be happening in the background and we can all be enslaved by the establishment. If that's how you feel, 844-200-3264, I would love to hear your thoughts concerning education, our kids. What do they really need in order to succeed? What do you wish you had learned through school that you felt would have helped you to succeed better? 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. Everything that I've shared so far is, all the different scenarios that I've shared. I can't help but to agree with a bunch of them. Especially when we have, formidable people, people in very powerful places who really did feel and set up our educational system that there should be a class of people that get the better education and a whole other class that are taught to be laborers so that there's more laborers to serve the elites in our nation. Now, I know you're thinking there's no way somebody would have thought that. This is just a great nation, Dani, with just good people in those high places. 844-200-3264. If that's how you feel, we want you to share that. All right, we do. We want to get a good compilation of a lot of different opinions. Whether I agree with you or not, or somebody else agrees with you or not, is not the issue. We just want to give you the opportunity to share, hey, Dani, I feel like X concerning the educational system right now, and this is what I think needs to happen. 844-200-3264. It's going to be a race to the phones, so pick up the phone right now and start calling us and tell us what your comment is. How do you feel about where it is today? And have you seen some differences as what you learned when you were in school versus what your kids are learning in school? Has history changed somehow? Interesting, right? 844-200-3264. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today. Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today. Dani Johnson here, and you're listening to The Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you. People thinking about what you think about, talking about what you talk about, and needing the same products and services you need. It's a place where like-minded consumers gather, savvy business owners, marketing directors, and responsive individuals making significant buying decisions. From consumer home goods and services to business products, people just like you needing the same things you need. They should be buying your product and service or doing business with your company. I'd love to help. To find out how to advertise on this show, email info@intelerep.com. That's info@INTELEREP.com, or call 251-928-9400. That's info@intelerep.com or 251-928-9400.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you're a Christian who's paying too much for healthcare, you're going to love Medishare. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. It's affordable. Families average around $300 a month, and it's accepted by America's largest network of health providers. Plus, the healthcare law has a special provision for Medishare members, so you're exempt from any tax penalties. But here's the best part. Medishare is based on the timeless principles found in God's Word. You never have to pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medishare is healthcare the way God meant it to be.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
You know, when I look back on my schooling, my formidable years, how come there wasn't any classes teaching me how to manage a checkbook or, you know, the difference between wise and foolish spending? Come on, friend. How come there was no classes teaching me not to go into debt? What about solving relationship problems? Gosh, you know what? If there's one bad form of education I had through school, it was how to be mean. Right? There was no teaching on how to love one another, how to honor each other, how to respect each other. There could have been like some social studies, meaning real social studies, not, you know, calling it social studies, but it was really history. I'm talking like social skill development. There we go. I think that should be a course. Anyway, enough about what I think she needs to be in school. Going over to the phones. We've got Sarah from Wisconsin. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, thank you. No, I think that the original school system has come away from quality education and is now just kind of a huge political propaganda machine, and it tells you what to think starting at 5 years old.
Tell me, how did you come into that ideal that you feel like school is a propaganda machine? Tell me what you mean by that, because there's like people listening right now, they don't have a clue of what a propaganda machine is.
Well, see, everything in the school system, from the curriculum all the way down to the food that they serve on the plate, it all has an alternative agenda, and it's crazy. I didn't know this a few years ago. I kind of started to dig around when I was looking into living healthier, ironically, and it led me down the path of, oh my gosh, like this is who controls the food, and this is what they do with the food, and this is what they're serving the kids at school, and it's just crazy. And how the curriculum, it's not really about education, and every wealthy person that I have sought out and talked to, which has been quite a few in the last few months, none of them send their kids to traditional school. None of them, not one. They all private schools or tutor them, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I had no idea before this.
Yeah.
I was actually going to send my kids to kindergarten. And it was it's a private school, and it's the one that I went to when I was younger. And we grew up, and we had teachers that were bullying and stuff like that, and it wasn't good. And so I was like, I don't think I can send my kid there. And I realized about 6 months ago that they actually teach religion and not faith. They teach like sugar-coated Bible stories that aren't really real, because I actually read the Bible now. So I know that it's different. I know. I went through 8 years of private school, never read the whole Bible. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so in order to fill in the gaps, what I think needs to be done is a lot of parents just have to be more aware of what's going into their children's heads at school and socially, and just becoming active in their children's educational lives. So what I decided to do was send my son to a virtual academy, which is part homeschool. He also gets the social skills. Once a week he goes, and they do art and music, and what we teach is a little bit of sustainable living, being an aware consumer, and we use Netflix for stuff like watching documentaries on historical leaders like Abraham Lincoln, and my 5-year-old loves Abraham Lincoln. It's so cool. And we also we go learn outside, because I really feel like sitting in school from 8:30 till 4:30 every day, it kind of resembles jail, like jail food, jail, sitting inside. It's just terrible. Not for me.
Wow. That's amazing, Sarah, that you as a young mother has noticed yourself, like, do I want my kid in a propaganda machine? I think it's so interesting that it was health that kind of tipped you off on this. When we researched, the quality of food, the GMOs, oh my gosh, the different things that they're putting in the food, really dumbs us out, prepares us with future health problems, and that's what they're serving the kids at school. There really has to be an alternative. And not to mention the things that they're choosing to teach us about our history. This is interesting. Whenever a empire would take on and dominate a whole new area, and we can use this as an example, the British Empire coming in through the Caribbean, the way that they infiltrated those places, the first thing that they did was they destroyed their history. Bahamas, for example. Bohemians don't wear white shirts and a button-down short by nature. They were of an African descent. They were Caribbean. And their language didn't have that beautiful British accent. It just didn't. It's amazing when we can look at them now and hear this beautiful accent. But the fact is, they had their own accent. And so whenever another higher end people want to take over another, they destroy their history, change the way they dress, and change their food. Kind of sounds like school. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
How can you achieve your goals and change your life for the better?
Tune in, turn it up, listen.
Stay right where you are for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
Ever wondered how to advertise on the Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you listening? Thinking about the things you do, talking about the things you do, and needing products and services you need? Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on the Dani Johnson Show. Advertise your products or services on the Dani Johnson Show. Email info@intellerep.com or call 251-928-9400. 251-928-9400.
Hello. Improving the quality of your life. The Dani Johnson Show.
I love it.
Did you like school when you were young, or did you hate it? I think I vacillated between both. Sometimes I loved it. Most of the time I hated it. Oftentimes, I didn't see the purpose of it. Man, I felt like I was learning the same thing year after year after year after year and didn't see how it was going to benefit me for my future. And then, I'm telling you, once I got on my own and I got my first job when I was 15, and then I had to support myself fully, my own apartment, my own rent, my own gas, my own electricity, my own car, all of those things when I was 17, I look back, I'm like, and why did I memorize those dates? How did that help me with my job? I just remember going, did I waste time all those years, or was this really a good thing? Now, I'm not saying that school is a waste of time. I'm not saying that at all. I think it's important, and there needs to be a good discipline with it and the right attitude about the work that a kid has to do. But enough about my opinion concerning school. I think there's a whole lot of things wrong with it, but I think that parents, it's up to them to supplement the child's education as we're training them up. Good character issues that need to be trained up in our kids at school is definitely not going to be teaching them. However, like I said, I'm going to shut up about my opinion concerning school, and I want to hear yours. You might be in a place where you feel like, man, our school is awesome, and I think this is where they're hitting the mark, and then you might say that this might be some places that they're missing it. So line one, I've got Linda from Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Hey, wait a minute. Isn't Sandy Hook that place where there was that shooting or whatever for that school?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So you live right there.
I live right here. Yeah, it was awful. It's horrible, and we're still recovering.
Really? Did you know anybody that was shot during that shooting?
We knew neighbors who had children. Yeah, who had a child. So, yeah, it was very, very awful. I can't even begin to tell you how devastating it was for the community. It was just completely. But we've all come together, and we're all moving forward.
Right.
So it's teaching our children love and compassion, and I think it's teaching them so much about their fellow neighbor.
Right, right. How old are your kids?
I have actually a college-age kid who just started her junior year and a senior in high school.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on education?
Two girls. Okay, my thoughts are I'm very concerned with the Common Core state standards. I feel now we were teaching to the test before, but now we're even going to be teaching more to the test. The federal government, they snuck in the back door. They enticed cash-strapped states that were not happy with No Child Left Behind with race-to-the-top funding. So our youngest children are going to suffer the most because the standards that were written are not appropriate for our elementary school-aged children. We're headed in the wrong direction. We have Bill and Melinda Gates, their foundation. They've thrown their money around to unions and to the state PTAs and numerous other private companies. They're trying to treat education like a business. So companies are going to be profiting from Common Core, not children.
Wow.
And I'm worried about my grandkids. You know, I have my kids, thank God, out of the public school system. My older daughter, she went to private. It it was night and day, the education between my older daughter and my younger daughter, who wanted to attend the private school because her friends were there. So, I mean, the public school, so her friends were there. So there was a big difference. But I'm so thankful I'm done with it because teachers are unhappy. They're afraid to speak up. They feel that if they do, their jobs are going to be endangered. It's such a poisonous environment right now, I think, for our schools. And learning comes from our teachers.
Yes.
I don't have complaints about our teachers. Our teachers are wonderful. Let the teachers do what they do best. Let them teach our children. But they have constraints on them.
They do.
And it's very sad where we're headed.
Yeah, it is. Now, tell me more about, and because I think that there's some people listening that aren't quite following your ideal as far as the Gates family, funding these certain things, that you feel that now it's going to be more about business, and businesses will be profiting on education. Businesses have always profited from education.
Yeah.
They always have. What's the difference?
They always have. And okay, I feel the difference now is that they are aligning. They'll say the standards are not curriculum. And that's true, but standards drive curriculum. So the standardized testing that they've revamped, and they've got these new tests that are replacing other tests, they are now saying you don't have to, but you really do. You have to buy Common Core aligned textbooks. What a big business. What an opportunity, especially for Pearson. So now we have all of these new products being marketed to schools saying Common Core aligned. Because if your children do not pass these new Common Core state standards, they can be now assessed to the point where they're staying behind a grade. The consequences are greater now. Even if you homeschool, you say, oh, I'm homeschooling my child, but they're aligning the SAT and the ACT. They are making changes in those, the College Board, so they will align with the Common Core standards. So even if you homeschool your child, if you want them to do well on the SAT and the ACT, well, you have to now fall in line and start purchasing these Common Core aligned products, because if you're teaching your child something else, homeschooling, but yet the ACT and the SAT have questions that your child has never seen before, you're in trouble. It's a big business. It's a big game.
It is. It really is. And here's the other thing: is the new standards or whatever is in this new curriculum. Is it really better, and is it better setting our kids up for success in the future? Do you know what I mean? I could see if it was, then they would have an argument, but is it really?
Say, oh, right, and I think there are a lot of people who say no, especially the math standards. Many experts, math professors are coming out and saying these are just inappropriate for our youngest child.
Wow. Well, all I know is,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a scary thing, and more and more of this kind of stuff happens, I think more and more people are going to get independent and say, forget it. Forget your SATs, forget your whatever other names of tests that you want to do. Kids can still get into college without that. And not to mention, is our college system really working anyway? I mean, is it really? Does it make a lot of sense to put kids in $50,000, $100,000 in debt and not be able to get them a job making more than minimum wage coming out of college? And even looking at this, like how much money is a kid going to spend even trying to go to school to become a teacher? 5 years of their lives? $50,000 or more to make $30,000 a year? How in the world do you raise a family on that? It's kind of a jacked up system, and I think there needs to be revolt in all reality. I think if enough people are like, forget it. No, we're going in a different direction. Who knows? There's going to be resistance, no question. But I know this. I didn't go to college. My husband didn't go to college. We did quite well. I'm not saying that not going to college is the answer, but I'm saying that it is not the God as we've made it to be in this country. It isn't. It is not the God. Just like, this one drives me crazy. Credit scores. Who makes you think that you need a good credit score? The bank. Who wants to make money off of your debt? Wake up, people. Wake up. Anyway, that's a different conversation for a different time. I appreciate you, Linda. Thank you so much. You're obviously incredibly educated on what you were just talking about. Okay, so that's one direction. That's one opinion concerning the change that's happening in education, whether or not we think it's wise or not. You just heard one woman's take on it. She's saying, I'm glad we're done. I'm glad that my kids are now college age and I don't have to worry about it. However, I am concerned for my grandchildren. Once we're a parent, I guess we're always going to be, aren't we? And I guess we're always going to be having this education conversation if we care about the future and we care about the next generation really being set up for doing well versus, doesn't it seem like it's almost like the rat in the wheel, right? The wheel's moving, the rat's in there, and okay, we just stay in this track. You get forced in the track, and now they're trying to force the homeschoolers on the same track. I say no. Listen, you live your life. You live your life. You live your life. You have to do what's right for your family. You've got to do what's right for your children. You got to do what's morally right. And being forced into something you don't agree with, you don't have to do. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Hey, have you done a favor for your best friend yet? Then do it now. Share this program with them. The Dani Johnson Show, helping hundreds of thousands of people just like you make life more enjoyable and rewarding. The Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today. Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
My kids need to go to school, get good grades so they can get a good job. Really? Come on, man, that is like as old-fashioned as it gets. Going to school, especially our current school system, with according to the new school standards, and whatever it is that they keep shoveling down our kids' throats, don't seem to be resulting in any kind of a good job, not to mention any kind of good financial success or security for their future. I wish I could say that it did, but it doesn't, especially when the numbers are what they are, that 98% of the population ends up dead or dead broke at the age of 65, dependent on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. We have a high percentage of kids going to college where they learn how to drink, have sex with multiple people, have an abortion while they're there, and they leave this wonderful experience with a $50,000 minimum debt. Wow. that they now for the rest of their lives will pay back, with still not any bit of a focus or an identity of who they are, why they're here, what they should do with themselves, and how they should get there. I'm going to stop ranting. Education, how do you feel about it? Do you think that we're on track? Do you think we're off track? I want to know your opinion. All right, we've got Amy from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi. I think the big problem that we face is we've had to take on a parenting role. I've noticed there's a lot of...
Wait, are you saying the teachers? You're saying the teachers have had to take on the parenting role?
We are taking on a parenting role.
Wow.
Yes. I've noticed there's been a lot of lack of respect for adults and property. Yep. And I've been teaching now for about 17 years, and I've noticed that every aspect of teaching gets harder every year. It gets more difficult. Everything across the board gets more difficult. I feel like parents don't want to parent anymore. They just want to drop them off and okay, you guys take care of them. You fix them.
That's kind of like the daycare thing, Amy, isn't it? It's the same thing with the daycare, right? Like mom gives birth.
Yeah.
Okay, she doesn't even try to nurse her own child. 6 weeks later, the kid is dropped off at the daycare, and the daycare is supposed to raise them. Man, wow, Amy, it's such an honor to talk to you. So you're a teacher. You've been teaching for 17 years, and you're saying that it's getting harder and harder because you're having to become the parent, meaning the kid should be coming to school with a baseline of attitude and a skill set. What should that baseline attitude and skill set be?
Well, I just think basic respect for adults, and coming with clean clothes on. We've got kids that wear the same clothes every day. We've got kids that aren't being taken care of, or they're going home and they're having to take care of their siblings. I mean, my school really doesn't do much for homework-wise. You get it done during the day, so that because there's so many kids that have to go home and take care of siblings, that homework it can't
be done.
It can't be an issue. These kids have to take care of the siblings.
Wow.
And the same thing in the morning. They're busy taking care of everyone else in their family, and no one's really looking out for them.
Wow.
And it's hard. It's hard, and it's sad, and it's frustrating because our hands are tied. You know, we're stuck with policies, and now Common Core is coming into play, and everything is placed on us, and it's just it's really a battle, and I don't know how to win it. I don't think we can.
Wow. Okay, so Amy, what grade do you teach?
I teach 6th grade.
6th grade. And so you're saying within the 6th graders, those are the older siblings of a household, and they're having to take care of themselves and their siblings.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, are you in a low-income area, or is this a high-drug area?
No, not really. No, it's kind of a combination. It's really a combination.
So
we see more and more of it every year.
Wow. And so are you saying that even the, let's say the middle-class parents are not parenting their children?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, it's across the board. I think it's just everybody's either they're so busy working, or they're working multiple jobs, and there's nobody home.
Yep. Wow. And so then you feel like the kids are taking it out on you with their disrespect. Do you find that they're taking it out on other students too, where they're lashing out to other classmates? You were saying there's no respect for.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we have it seems like some kids really struggle with social skills. They're really struggling with, having to just talk to other students about things or just different social situations. They're really struggling with those. And we have a kind of a homeroom thing every morning where we try to work on character, and we have discussions, and we talk about what's good character, and we talk about how to be nice to each other and how to be respectful to each other. And but it just feels like I feel like it's not enough. It has to come from home too.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. Man, thanks so much for speaking up from the teacher's perspective and sharing with us your view. You know what I mean? You're right there in the classroom, and I don't even want to talk about the salary that you get paid to do this job. right? She's laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the debt you had to go into to get the job, you know, it's like, it's kind of sad. And so it's basically a breakdown in our society, just as a people, right? These are basic skills: respect of others, self-respect of my own space, respect of the adults, right? There's that when there's no respect, there's no dignity. There's none.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And all for what, right? Are these mostly single-parent homes? Or is this just straight across the board?
Yeah, a lot. And I'm even noticing now it's grandparents.
Meaning the grandparents are raising the kids.
So the grandparents are raising the kids.
Common in the Caribbean, not common here. That's weird, isn't it?
No, not really. Yeah, not really.
Wow.
So,
Those are some major changes that have happened over the last several decades, right? We got grandparents raising their grandchildren. They're going to do that differently, no question.
Right.
Single-parent homes on the rise. Wow, that's different. And daycares, right? The kids being raised in daycares. They're treated like cows, shoveled into a room, and everyone's supposed to do everything this certain way, and then it's the same thing running through the school system. Yeah, I agree. I bet it is getting harder and harder. And then, of course, the pressure from the government and their changes that are not helping the situation. You know what I mean? This is the real on-the-ground issue, and none of their standardized whatever is helping these issues right here, because there could be something that could help get kids and motivate them to have better character, motivate them to be better people, inspire them to live beyond what their current circumstances are. I've seen it, and I know that kids are totally able to grab onto vision like that. Amy, it sounds like you haven't heard about the book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is being taught in universities, and it's been noted as the best parenting book that has ever hit the market. It's Grooming the Next Generation for Success. There's a home study course that goes with it too. Teachers are going crazy over the content that's inside of that book. And it's how to take the current, lack of morals in the current system in which we're living in, and how to motivate the kids out of that and becoming the kind of leaders that they should be. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
No matter what you think, feel, or imagine, if you want to make things right in your own life, you have to focus and believe. Stay tuned for helpful advice on life and more on The Dani Johnson Show.
Dani Johnson here, and you're listening to The Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you. People thinking about what you think about, talking about what you talk about, and needing the same products and services you need. It's a place where like-minded consumers gather, savvy business owners, marketing directors, and responsive individuals making significant buying decisions. From consumer home goods and services to business products, people just like you needing the same things you need. They should be buying your product and service, or doing business with your company. I'd love to help. To find out how to advertise on this show, email info@intelerep.com. That's info@INTELEREP.com, or call 251-928-9400. That's info@intelerep.com or 251-928-9400. You tell yourself that life isn't that bad. You relish the small pleasures. Drive-through coffee, big screen TV, vacations bought on credit cards. But that's as good as life gets unless you take a leap of faith. This is millionaire author, radio and television show host Dani Johnson, inviting you to join me for 2 days where you will acquire the skills to make the life you crave a reality. Call now 844-200-DANI or visit firststepstosuccess.com.
How to live a very balanced life.
I've totally sacrificed my friendships, and I've definitely sacrificed my family, and yeah, I only get 4 to 6 hours of sleep every night.
Struggles with managing your time. How to solve issues with love, life, money, or your spiritual journey.
I can't stress to you enough, it's important to live a very balanced life.
Dani is the counterweight to give you balance.
Do you find that you're not living out your life the way you want it to?
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
This is Dani Johnson. Welcome to Hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show. We're talking about education. Man, we've heard from parents and teachers their dissatisfaction of what's happening out there right now, but this is not a show about griping. It's about solutions. How do we fix it? We just finished hearing from a teacher out in North Dakota who said that, man, there's just ever-increasing, she's been teaching for 17 years, ever-increasing disrespect in the classroom. Not only disrespect for adults, but disrespect for themselves as well as the other kids. And that she said that many of these sixth graders are busy taking care of their siblings because nobody's home. Wow. She also said that grandparents are raising the grandchildren and putting them off into school. You know, there is, come on, we've all heard it. We've heard it coined, there's a moral decay in our country. You know, that sounds so, I don't know. I don't know how to explain what that sounds like. Moral decay. But it sounds clinical. Just sounds clinical. And clinical is so unemotional and so not real. Can we just talk straight? You got kids flipping each other off. You got kids flying off the handle and screaming at the teacher. You got teachers who've heard about the shootings. They fear their own lives. Now, come on, if there was a job that you don't have to worry about your life being threatened, you would think it'd be teaching, but not anymore. Not anymore. There's a lot of change that has happened there. Moral decay. No, it's a mess. In fact, it's what I'm going to say to my friend John, who I work here with, the Dani Johnson Show. It's a hot mess. It is such a mess. And we have to stop making it sound clinical and using our big educated words, which I don't have any of those. We have to stop that and look at the problem and how can we solve it. And here this teacher is just crying out saying, man, I feel like I have to be the parent and the teacher. Unfortunately, she's right. She does have to be that. And she has to decide whether or not she wants to stay in that profession in all reality. Is it worth it that I have to be the parent and the teacher at the same time? Is it worth it? Well, unfortunately, kids don't come to school anymore with the basic standards of respect for other people, respect for their teacher, working hard, having a good attitude about work, right? Unfortunately, there's a whole generation, they died, and the next generation did not teach their kids those values that are important, that turn into greater incomes in the future. This is Dani Johnson. We're taking your call concerning education. What needs to change? What do we as parents need to do to fill in the blanks? How can we set our kids up for success rather than failure? 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We have Tanya from Florida. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, Dani. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I really think that our schools are just lacking in teaching life skills.
Yeah.
And, in some ways, yes, that's the parent's responsibility, but there's a lot of parents that don't teach it, which results in a lot of kids being thrown out in the real world and not really knowing what to do. But, just basic stuff, how to manage a house and create a budget and credit scores and buying a home and how to go to a job interview and how to dress and what to say. And, there's just so many things like that the kids just don't have a grasp on when they graduate from high school. And they're those kids that don't have the parents that are helping them, they're just kind of out there in the dark trying to find their way around.
Yeah, it's true. And, the reality is that parents, I don't think, have been taught on how to be parents. With both parents working in most cases, it's almost like it's a roommate situation. You know what I mean? It's like the kid is a roommate and just kind of living along mom and dad while mom and dad are just trudging through life, trying to make their mortgage payment and buy a new car and shop at the malls every weekend. So there isn't, for some reason, this. I know I didn't have it. It's like, I became a parent and it was like, now what do I do? I knew how to give birth. I certainly knew how to have a lot of sex, but I didn't know how to do any of it. And all I had was what my parents did with us. And I most definitely did not want to repeat that cycle, right? But then what do I do? How do I do it? Okay, so I'm not going to smoke weed every day. I'm not going to beat my children. I'm not going to tell them what a loser they are and how they were an abortion that lived, right? I knew not to do that, but I didn't know what to do. And so I think part of it, and mind you, that if we even look at the television shows today that are forming the minds of the kids and forming the minds of the parents, it's very different. I don't know how old you are, girl, but I'm 45. And when I was a kid,
I'm right there with you.
okay, baby. Then when I was a kid, Leave It to Beaver showed us what a family looked like, right? And how to handle some problems. And the Brady Bunch, right, was the blended family. I'm not going to sing the song. But there was
I've actually been sitting down watching Full House.
Right.
The last few nights I've sat and watched Full House, and it's like, really, they actually sit down and talk to their kids and help them through their problems. And, they're not spending all their time on the internet. And it's like you were saying with the earlier callers, it's just a different world.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And, how do we get back to where we need to get back to so that these kids have a running start when they, when they jump out of those gates at 18, 19 years old?
Yep. And not to mention, Tanya, is the kids who do not have parents who are parenting them. Those kids are also crippling other kids while they're in school. It's not only what happens after 18. Come on, we just heard from Amy, remember the teacher who just said, I feel like I have to be the parent in the classroom because these kids don't even have the basic respect skills. Right? So those mouthy kids that are showing up on the Disney Channel, right? That are disrespecting everybody, rolling their eyes, chewing their gum on their phone. You know what I mean? That has infiltrated our culture, has infiltrated the next generation and teaching our kids how to be disrespectful, dishonorable, how to hate authority, how to roll their eyes when somebody is stupid, how to make fun of other kids. Not good, wholesome character building content, but instead, it's cool to be a jerk. And it's really cool to be a jerk to everybody else. And that's scary. That's really sad. But it is a different world.
Well,
and Go ahead.
I have a 14-year-old son. And he totally feels, when he's watching those Disney shows, he feels just like what you just said. There's no disrespect or back-talking. There's just, it is what it is.
Yep. So we really have to be careful to be aware of what we're allowing our kids to watch, what they're listening to. And at this stage and in this day and age, we're going to be the parents that are made fun of. I know I was. Yeah, and then we got this best-selling book called Grooming the Next Generation for Success. We were like, I need that! My life is a mess! My kid is a hellion! Just go back to the basics, man. Go back to the basics. And that's what's in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. It's the basics. It almost seems like there was a whole generation that came out of the 60s that was stoned out of their mind, and they still are. And they did not parent their kids. And my generation and your generation is the fruit from them. And largely, we're not parents. We're just roommates. Largely. That's sad. It's really, really sad. And what's scary is to fast forward from there. Whew. What does it look like? What does it look like? So I'm grateful that I was asking the questions like, how do I do this? Because I don't have a clue. How do I do this? How do I train them? What should I teach them? What should they know? And I know I just don't want to lord over them and be some demanding tyrant like the one that raised me, but how do I do this correctly? I know that when I look back, I would have made a gazillion mistakes, but I'm really, really grateful that I learned Grooming the Next Generation for Success. All 12 chapters in here, man, really good, from like what to put in their bodies, what to monitor that goes into their minds, checking up on those bad attitudes that seem to come in from other places and how to correct them, how to really groom their minds for the right attitude about work, right? Yeah, how to shake a hand. Yeah, how to have really good eye contact. Novel idea. How not to badmouth your boss. How do you do that? Don't badmouth your coach. Don't badmouth your parents. This is a habit that gets formed in 98% of the population, and they just let it go. No. When you're badmouthing other people, it's a habit. Complaining is a habit. Bad attitudes are a habit, and these things have got to be trained into your kids to not have, but that they stand out different from everybody else because they have amazing character, an awesome attitude, good work ethic, wise with money. Yes. And the list goes on of the things that they need. Tanya, thanks so much for sharing. I appreciate what you had to say. Okay, we've got Annette on line 1. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dani.
Hi. So what have you got to say?
Awesome. Well, for one, I think I have a different perspective. A lot of what you say, you made excellent points, and I'm also a school teacher and have been for 25 years.
Wow.
So I've seen many generations.
Yeah.
And my students are wonderful. My school's wonderful. And I think you're generalizing too much because there are school systems out there that want to see the students succeed, and they do everything they can. They have teachers that are totally supported, and the administration really has a lot to do with that.
Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that, because I don't run into a lot of people like you at all. At all. You are really rare, especially with our first one that called in about, what was going on in her classroom. 17 years she's been teaching, and she's like, it's getting harder and harder every year. So tell me about that. So you feel like your students are awesome, that the parents are awesome, the education is awesome. Come on, I want to have a drink of whatever it is you're drinking, honey.
We still have to teach for a test, too, and that does cause a little bit of an issue, but it's all about, I think, the support that you get from your principal and how they direct the school. So there's schools out there that are phenomenal. There's schools out there that are training students. I can remember way back in 1980. I started in 1980, and I had students there that people would complain about. They would be saying, "Oh, they're just awful. How could this generation be so bad?"
Isn't that wild?
And yes, we still have those kids, but there's so many good kids, and there's so many kids who are so respectful and want to learn and want to do so much with their life.
Okay, so you're in Virginia. Are you in a high, are you in an affluent area? Or
Mixed.
What did you say?
A mixed one.
Okay.
I'm in a mixed area, so we get from all different cultures.
Right. And very cultural, actually, like multicultural. Especially in Virginia. I want you to hold the line because I want to pick your brain a little bit more so that all of us can learn about the great school you're in. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Good people bring out the good in people. And you're sharing great moments with thousands of good people right now. There's more of the Dani Johnson Show coming up. Stay here.
Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
With all the changes happening in healthcare, Christians want to know, is there any option that's God-honoring, affordable, and acceptable under the law? The answer is Medishare. It's not insurance. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. Unlike individual insurance plans, which are now required to cover the morning after pill, your healthcare dollars never pay for things that go against your beliefs. There's no enrollment period, so you could sign up anytime. You choose your doctors from America's largest provider network. And yes, it's affordable. Family options average around $300 a month. Medishare is healthcare Christians can believe in.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today. Dani Johnson here, and you're listening to the Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you. People thinking about what you think about, talking about what you talk about, and needing the same products and services you need. It's a place where like-minded consumers gather, savvy business owners, marketing directors, and responsive individuals making significant buying decisions. From consumer home goods and services to business products, people just like you needing the same things you need. They shouldn't be buying your product and service or doing business with your company. I'd love to help. To find out how to advertise on this show, email info@intelerep.com. That's info at INTELEREP.com or call 251-928-9400. That's info@intelerep.com or 251-928-9400.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We've been talking about education, and we've had now a different opinion. Come on, with Annette out of Virginia. So very blessed that she decided to join us today. She's saying she has a great school system. She has a great principal. There's great students, and everything's great. She's been teaching for 25 years, which I'm very grateful that she's called in to share a different side of things because, yeah, you know, I definitely have tooted the other horn that, hey, everything's messed up, and this is a mess. And it needs to be fixed, and there's too many problems. And yeah, well, Annette was our first who had a different opinion concerning school. And her opinion was that it's her school principal that leads the way that principal does, and that has made a big difference. You know, it's so funny. She was saying that when she first started in teaching 25 years ago, that, you know, there was those kids, you know, watch out for them. Those are the bad kids, you know. She goes, we still have those kids. There's always a few of those kids in the classroom, but there are plenty of them that are respectful and that they want to learn. I don't know where she's teaching, but it's very different than what Annette was just saying. Very different than another teacher from North Dakota that was saying the opposite, the absolute opposite. It's getting harder and harder every year. So anyway, and not only that, but, you know, hey, we got a lot of parents that are homeschooling their kids now. You know, they've just pulled out of the system altogether. And they're saying, forget it. And thank God there's a lot of different options out there for our families and for our kids. I think that's important too. We're going over to the phones. We have Krista on line 6 from Canada. Don't know all that much about the Canadian school system, but we're about to hear one opinion from Canada. Welcome to the show, Krista. Hello, Krista, are you there? Sounds like Krista's line is muted. Okay, we're going to grab Krista at another time. Hi, Krista. Nope. Krista's muted. All right, we got Annie from Greencastle, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show.
Hi, yes. We are so fortunate and blessed to have our daughter attend a local school where we really feel that they do a good job of including other aspects such as practical life, manners, citizenship, in addition to, you know, basics that we do think she needs to learn. But it's a Montessori academy, and we think they do a wonderful job of creating a well-rounded program for the children.
Right. How old is your kid?
Now, she's just going on 4, so I realize that that's very young. But they do go up through 8th grade, and they also offer a charter high school now. So we're lucky to have an option locally that we feel does provide, a great education, as that word is used, but also a citizenship aspect. And I have my master's in curriculum and instruction, so I understand what you're saying, and I see it. I see it in the public school. The challenges are vast, but we feel that they're trying to get other things into the curriculum on a daily basis.
Yeah. So kind of like what that teacher was saying from North Dakota, that she feels like she has to be the parent also to fill in the blanks, that the kids are coming without even they're being parented, that they're missing the basic things that mom and dad should have been put into them. And the fact is that's the current world that we're living in. And I'm happy to hear that you have found that the school your daughter is in, the Montessori system, that they believe in character building and citizenship and all of that stuff, and imparting that kind of mindset into the kids. I think it's wise, and I think it's important, and it's timely, because there is a great need out there, and many schools are not filling the need. It's more about what can I memorize and regurgitate and then forget, instead of really using that 8 hours a day to instill great citizenship qualities. Good character, listening skills, relationship skills, accepting people and for their differences, understanding, just simple respect of other people's property and not making fun of people, because it's a really sad.
Right. Well,
it's hard.
We were so pleased when Julie that's our daughter, was even in the toddler community there. And she came home talking about washing tables, and we were kind of like, tell us more about that. And when we went in for conferences, her teacher, explained to us that they are teaching, that as a basic practical life skill. Okay, great. But they're also teaching them to start at the top and go left to right, top to bottom. And that's a pre-reading skill. We didn't even know, that they were related.
Wow. That's awesome. That's creative right there. That's really, really smart, setting a foundation for those kids. I love it. Thanks so much for sharing. We appreciate the call, Annie. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Life. It's about the journey. Are you living the life you want to live?
Is it going the way you want it to go?
Don't live your life by default. Live by going the way you want to go. Dani can help you with your roadmap to life. The Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
Ever wondered how to advertise on the Dani Johnson Show with tens of thousands of people just like you listening, thinking about the things you do, talking about the things you do, and needing products and services you need? Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on the Dani Johnson Show. Advertise your products or services on the Dani Johnson Show. Email info@intellerep.com or call 251-928-9400, 251-928-9400.
Helping you get a grip on your priorities and your focus. The Dani Johnson Show.
Here's Dani Johnson.
So different people have different perspectives concerning education. Annette, who joined us earlier from Virginia, saying that she comes from a great school. She's been a teacher for 25 years, great students, great administration. I've got a few questions for her that I'd like to understand a little bit deeper about her experience. Annette, okay, so you said that you have a multicultural school. I know Virginia is, I mean, it's got everything. I mean, people from the Caribbean, people from India, right? People from Fiji. I mean, people from everywhere are in that area throughout Virginia. There's every color imaginable and slant of the eye and the tongue that's there. But you were saying that this is what I want to know. You've been teaching for 25 years, Annette. And as a teacher, what have you seen that has changed in 25 years?
Well, the biggest change, which I totally agree with you, is the push that everybody has to be successful on these state tests. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to happen.
Yep.
So that is the biggest change. So it does take away from the teaching in the classroom. But at the same time, these teachers that I see have been so much more creative in introducing life skills with these kids along with these skills.
Yep. Now, do you find a difference in the culture of the kids? Think back to 1980 when you first entered the classroom and what the kids were like, the culture of those kids. I would have been one of them, by the way. I graduated in 1987. So right when you said 1980, I'm like, hi, Mrs. Annette. But what's the difference in the culture of the kids, the overall attitude, or just even the family? What changes have you seen culturally?
There's so many similarities in attitude, but it's presentation that's so different. Because now, electronic. I mean, notes are still getting passed. It's just in text messages instead of folded up pieces of paper. And, kids are still dressed as is in a different manner, a different dress. But there's so much similarity in the mentality, in the action. It's still, it is quicker paced. You do want to change your topics a little bit quicker to keep them engaged.
Really?
They're used to it. Yes.
Trippy. That's wild. So now it's harder to engage them. Our culture is more distracted, probably because we have access to too many things. I mean, we're now a multitasking generation instead of, focused on one particular task at a time. Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
The other.
They are so great at multitasking.
Yeah. Now, okay. So, I know that well, I don't know. Yeah, this is what I'm going to say that I noticed in the kids, just from raising my own. That, for example, from my generation, of the 80s, when I was in school, there was that girl over there that was sleeping around, but oh gosh, can't believe she's doing that. You know what I mean? It wasn't just the large thing, the overarching thing that everyone's sleeping around, but she was, right? I remember her name and who she is, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then, oh my gosh, so-and-so had sex with their boyfriend. Okay, so then when my oldest daughter was in the 9th grade, she was sharing with me that bisexual relationships were common at school, and that kids would leave on their lunch break and go home because mom and dad weren't there, and there was full-on orgies going on at lunchtime. And maybe the kids were skipping class. So, like you said, kids are still skipping class, but they just might be doing different things. So I know that the whole sexual thing was very different from literally, my daughter and I are 18 years apart. Do you know what I'm saying? So, we're not that far apart in age, but just from my generation to her, she graduated in 2005, I graduated in 1987. So that was massive. That's a huge cultural change from just the sexual part of if we had sex, we didn't go around telling everybody about it. If anyone did find out, it was because someone talked like an idiot. But there was that girl that did. But man, to hear my oldest daughter and her talking about that bisexual relationships were common in the 8th grade and that orgies happened all the time in the 9th grade. Wow. Right? Okay, so yes, notes are being passed from student to student in my generation, but now you're saying that text messages are now? Yeah, but what about sexting? Okay, I mean, kids are taking pictures of their private areas and texting it to each other, in class. So they go into the bathroom, they take a picture of a private area and then text it to somebody that's in class. I mean, that's kind of, I would say that's kind of different, Annette? I mean, don't you think? I think that's a change.
I don't think that happens much. I don't think that happens all that much.
Oh, gosh. I think, Annette, I think you're not aware. I'm serious. Because, to be honest with you, I've had kids in private little Christian schools where there's only 200 students in this very affluent school from kindergarten to 12th grade. And I have a gal who had worked with me. She goes, Dani, sexting was common every week in my class. When I was in the 7th grade, I'm like, what the heck are you showing each other? What do you got in the 7th grade?
I'm going to find out more about it.
You know?
I will find out more about it, and I will text you and let you know.
Please don't text me a picture of your private area. Please. That would not be good. But you see what I mean? So, I mean, this is just the things I've noticed from my kids, hearing the challenges they're dealing with and the kind of conversation. So for my generation, drugs was a deal. Drinking and drugs, right? In the 80s, smoking weed and partying. Now that stuff is still happening, but now it's a different kind of drug. Ecstasy was the drug of choice when my oldest daughter was in high school. Actually, she was in 8th grade. Ecstasy. That's a sexual drug. It wasn't weed. It's take a pill to make me have sex longer. What? That's like...
I just don't, I don't see it. I don't see it. Anything more than what I would have seen in the 80s.
Wow.
I don't see anything worse than that. Isolated cases, again, yes. But not in general. Too many kids really want to make something of themselves.
No, I believe that. I've noticed that kids have a desire to succeed. They want to please. They want to do right. I think that's inherently inside of them. However, I think that the peer pressure today is far greater than when I was, meaning not greater, just different. And that it's reaching down into younger years. Come on, Annette. Did we ever see, when you were in school, did you ever see 4th graders taking sexy pictures of themselves? 4th graders.
No, they wouldn't. They didn't have materials like that.
Right?
Now, behind the school, under the bleachers, and just...
You got me. I was that girl. Sorry. Yes, under the car or under the bleachers.
I got caught at the auditorium.
No, you're right. You're right on that one. Yes, and in the gym. When the gym was closed, nobody was there. And playing basketball. I don't even want to say what I did. It's bad. I don't want to give anyone any ideas. All right, well, there you go. You're right. It's the same trying to flirt, get your first kiss. It's just a different medium. We have access. All right. You got me a little bit, but you don't have me all the way, because I know for a fact that there has been orgies going on in high school. I got that. That as sex is a very common conversation, where, like when I was in high school, that it was not a common conversation. It was a taboo thing. It wasn't something people bragged about, but now it's different. People are bragging about who they're sleeping with. I wonder what the statistics are, like how, the increase of abortions, increase of teen pregnancies and things of that nature. But Danette, number one, this is what I got to hand to you, baby. You got a great attitude. You have a great attitude, and I applaud you for that, because it is really easy for us to look down on something. It's really easy for us to get negative on something, and what I'm hearing you say, and I like it, you kind of remind me about my husband a little bit there, is that, hey, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. I'm the one that go, what? But you're right. The notes are still being passed. It's now being done electronically. I agree with that. And, no, there's not sexy pictures of fourth graders, but she is the same fourth grader who's trying to entice a boy under the bleachers and kiss him. You got me there. Annette, I really appreciate your input on today's show tremendously. This is Dani Johnson. Get ready for the last segment of the Dani Johnson Show right after this.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you're a Christian who's paying too much for healthcare, you're going to love Medishare. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. It's affordable. Families average around $300 a month, and it's accepted by America's largest network of health providers. Plus, the healthcare law has a special provision for Medishare members, so you're exempt from any tax penalties. But here's the best part. Medishare is based on the timeless principles found in God's Word. You never have to pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medishare is healthcare the way God meant it to be.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
Okay, well, I have to admit, Annette threw me for a loop. She really did. Okay, she has to be by far the first caller that has definitely swayed me from a position in which I was standing so very firm on, right? She's been teaching for 25 years, and I just, I want to know, like, okay, so isn't it different? Aren't the kids different than they were 25 years? And she goes, no. The form in which they act out their stuff is different, that's all. I'm like, no. But right on the break when we took this, I was asking, because here, okay, let me bring you up to speed. We have fourth graders, right? There's fourth graders in our country that are taking sexy pictures of themselves, saying that they're 13 or 14 or 15 or 18. How do you do that? I've seen them. I've seen the pictures that little girls are taking of themselves. The whole selfie movement is disgusting. Look at me. But at the same time, yeah, she goes, no, yeah, okay, no, there wasn't fourth graders, making themselves look sexy. But there were those fourth graders trying to entice a little boy under the bleachers. And I'm like, God, that was me, for sure. Awful. Or kissing my cousin underneath the van at my aunt's house. Ew. Ew. It turned out he wasn't my cousin, though. It's okay. We just called each other cousins, right? The family. Anyway, whatever. But I was asking on the break, like, my coworkers, like, okay, Raven, were you one of those little fourth grade girls under the bleachers? She goes, oh, no, ma'am. I was a good girl. And then I asked John. He goes, nope, we didn't have any bleachers, but I knew all about playing doctor. I was like, I forgot about that. And it's true, right? Yes. So I guess Annette is right. There is just a different form. There's just a different form of how the kids are expressing themselves. Doctor, do you remember that one? It was bad. It was bad. Playing doctor. So now kids get to do everything digitally. So, and check it out, okay? And I gotta say, my hat's off to Annette. Yeah, she's got some wisdom and she's sensible, because I am absolutely the one that freaks out about this. I do. It's terrible. Man, when I have sons and daughters, right? So when my oldest daughter first told me that, at her high school, and it's a complicated situation. One of these days, her and I'll get on the show and talk about it. But my first daughter, I didn't have the pleasure or the honor of raising. I made a very stupid choice in being enticed to making a decision I should have never made. But she was raised for 14 years by her adoptive parents, and they were very wealthy, and she went to a very affluent high school. And man, the things that I would hear, it just, my baby, it's really awful. And then when I would hear this whole sexting thing, it was like, oh gosh, I just wanted to protect my kids from all of these kinds of pressures. And it's really funny how we do say, the peer pressure that kids have today is so different than we had it when we were kids. But I think Annette is right. It's probably the same. We just have today they have a different medium of doing it. Just like what she said with the note passing, right? Okay, I know that today was about education and it wasn't about the difference with the kids. And what's funny is the first teacher that had called in, she was saying that the kids, the sixth graders, or many of them are having to raise their own siblings. Well, I was the same way. That was in my generation, and I was born in 1969. And I definitely had to step up and be the parent in my household because my parents weren't being parents. They were partying like rock stars, smoking weed and doing all other kind of drugs. And dinner sometimes would be Wonder Bread with garlic, salt, and margarine. Ugh, you should never combine those three things together. That is so disgusting. Anyway, so I guess some of us need to chill out. I'm looking in the mirror right now, right? Some of us need to chill out. So, yeah, I guess kids are kids. Yeah, were you the girl kissing the guy underneath the bleachers? Well, translated in today's world, you're the girl taking a sexy picture of yourself in the 4th grade, trying to get some older guy to like you. Yuck. Right? Yeah, I guess flirting is nothing new. I guess trying to get your first kiss is nothing new either. And I also guess that, that not wanting to do your homework is nothing new. And I guess the government trying to create some new standards is nothing new. I guess there's nothing new under the sun. Hey, we got Krista from Canada. Krista from BC, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We got just a couple minutes left to talk about education. What's going on up there concerning education, and how do you feel about it?
Hi, Dani. Thanks for taking my call. It's been a challenge here, but actually the teachers are on strike here. So my son is not in school right now, so I'm looking at some creative ways to educate him here. He's in grade 12 this year, so it's kind of throwing a wrench in the whole plan, and it's very frustrating for parents here. I know teachers are working hard, but it seems like the government and the teachers union are kind of using my kid as a pawn, and it's not feeling good.
Wow. Now, why are the teachers on strike?
They want some more money. They don't like the class size, and I think they're frustrated because some kids are special needs and they're thrown into the mix, and they don't get enough time. But now all the kids are out, so I don't think it's working. I think strikes are demanding something, and it's just frustrating.
So, Krista, do you agree at all with the teachers? Do you agree with the teachers? I mean, first of all, do you know how much they're making?
I don't know if this is legit, but someone has told me they're making about $80,000 a year here.
I don't know. I would do some research yourself. If that's the case, every teacher in America needs to move to Canada. I think Annette's still on the line laughing right now. I don't know how old the teachers are that are at that school, but I know here in America, when you start off at $30,000 a year, I have a friend that's been teaching for 30 years, and they make $50,000 a year after 30 years. So a teacher that's teaching high school that makes $85,000 a year, I don't know. I'd be checking that out. If that's the case, they shouldn't be striking. They need to be grateful because teachers don't make that kind of cash. There's professors that don't make that kind of money. Because I looked into it for education for my youngest son. Like, what was the difference in money for being a professor versus just a teacher? Because he has an incredible gift with kids, and he loves musical art, and he writes. And so I thought, well, let's look at the difference in that. And it's really not that big of a difference in pay. Both a professor working for a community college is going to make $30,000 a year starting. And depending on if they go into a university, they might make $50,000 a year starting. But the educational world, for some reason, does not pay very well for these teachers who are educating our kids. So I would do your own research. You know how gossip goes, right? You know, like, can you believe these people? They're making $85,000 a year. You know, I would do your own research. And what about that classroom size? Let me ask you this. How well do you do with 25 kids of the same age in one room?
Well, I think that you better have a command of respect
for
the children. I think it depends. It depends, right? I remember when I was in school, my classrooms were pretty big too, so I'm not sure how much that has changed, but I think there's probably an issue of respect there too.
Yeah,
I know some kids these days, like you were mentioning before,
they can be pretty mouthy, which is really sad that they can be so darn mouthy. Hey, I appreciate you, Chris. It sounds like Canada and U.S. have something in common. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining me today. God bless you. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow with another topic that's going to rock your life.
You've been listening to The Dani Johnson Show. It's our belief that you can live a better, healthier, happier life. All you need is a little encouragement, a different perspective, a positive force in your life. Get that and more on the next Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, if you know me at all, I don't want you spending a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and take credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He's so confident that if he can't save you money, he'll pay you $100. Listen, if you're accepting payment by credit cards, check it out. 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. He guarantees he'll save you money, and he'll pay you $100 if he can't. No risk, right? So what are you waiting for? Call today. It's quick to change your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani sent you. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709. 850-200-0709. Stop overpaying today. You tell yourself that life isn't that bad. You relish the small pleasures. Drive-through coffee, big screen TV, vacations bought on credit cards. But that's as good as life gets unless you take a leap of faith. This is millionaire author, radio and television show host Dani Johnson, inviting you to join me for 2 days where you will acquire the skills to make the life you crave a reality. Call now 844-200-DANI or visit firststepstosuccess.com.